Hey everybody, and welcome to the 15,000 subscribers question and answer video. This has been a long time coming. I hit 15k quite a while ago at this point. It's been at least a month or something like that. But I've been very busy with university and all of that sort of stuff at the end of the school year. So now that we're all done with that, I finally have time to sit down and answer all of your amazing questions. So got tons of questions from people on Twitter, Discord, and of course the most I got from YouTube. So gonna answer as many of them as I can right now. Entirely unscripted, of course, and I'm also going to play back some of my Reddit League gameplay, just to have something to watch in the background as well. And one last thing before we get started, if you guys are not in the USA Geoguessr Discord server, make sure you guys hop in there. I just launched that about 2 weeks ago, and it's a really fantastic community. We've got over 200 members already, and I'm really happy with the way it's looking. So if you guys aren't in there, there is a join link in the description. So with all that said, let's get into these questions. Hope you guys enjoy this. To get us started, I'm going to answer questions that are related to real-life things, so things that are outside of GeoGuessr, YouTube, stuff like that. Adisonia asks, at what point would you drop out of college to pursue YouTube or Twitch, if at all? That's a tricky question. I definitely have zero plans to do that right now. Definitely not at a point where I'd be financially supported enough to do that. I have thought about it, and I would love to make this a part-time career at least, or even a full-time career. That is an absolute dream of mine. But for right now, I got only 2 years left. I'm definitely going to finish out my last couple of years of undergrad, get my degree, and then see where the YouTube Twitch stuff is at that point. Ken asks, what are your career plans after college? You should get a master's in urban planning. You'd be good at it. Well, hey, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I have been thinking about that for sure. Getting a master's degree has been in my thought process for a while now. I've definitely considered it. Not sure yet exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to start looking into career plans for after college very soon. But again, either that's pursuing YouTube and Twitch more. It all just really depends what happens in the next couple of years. But yeah, master's definitely a possibility for me in the future. This question comes from Dan, who asks, credit card info? But in all seriousness, do you think schools teach enough about geography/history? So, definitely not going to give you my credit card info, of course, but in terms of schools teaching geography and history, definitely not. I highly think that there is not enough education in those subjects, especially in the United States. The US, unfortunately, is the laughingstock of the world when it comes to geography and history as well. It's just such a stereotype that Americans don't know anything, and unfortunately there is some truth to that. A lot of the public education system dedicates not nearly enough as it should into geography classes, history classes, and also so much of American history goes untaught as well. We have a really dark history, and a lot of negative, terrible things have happened that people just don't know about, and it really is a shame that we don't know our national history. I think that teaching more about the more obscure things in American history is really important. Make sure we don't replicate things like the Japanese-American internment camps, all of the horrors committed against the Native Americans for centuries. All these kinds of things don't get taught enough, and I really think that it should be taught more in school. This one comes from Astria, who says, what's your favorite building or landmark from Chicago? That's a great question. Oh my god. There's so many beautiful buildings in Chicago. Of course, the Sears Tower is beautiful, absolutely iconic. The new Wanda Vista Tower, I think it's called the St. Regis Hotel or something now. Also a beautiful building, tallest building designed by a woman in the world. Beautiful building. There's so many downtown skyscrapers that are just gorgeous. But yeah, those two come to mind for sure. But yeah, a lot of the architecture outside of downtown as well, just sort of the neighborhoods and everything, just gorgeous. So many of the buildings along the boulevards and on the south side, everywhere, it's just such a beautiful city, such a nice architectural hub. Highly suggest you guys come check out Chicago for its architecture. Charles T. asks, what are some of your favorite American cities aside from Chicago? Good thing you added that, because I definitely would have just said Chicago. But other cities that come to mind, definitely New York. I feel at home when I visit New York. Such a great city. Amazing food as well. Seattle's another beautiful city. Absolutely love it there. Milwaukee, of course, as well. Head up there at least a couple times a year, usually. Such a great place as well. Love the art museum there. And one last city that comes to mind is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Awesome city. Love the bridges and the rivers there. Super cool architecture downtown as well. And I have fond memories of Pittsburgh just from going there on a road trip, spur of the moment with my friends. That was a good time. So yeah, love Pittsburgh as well. Joey asks, what's your favorite place for a long walk or bike ride in or around Chicago? Great question. Chicago is one of the best biking cities in the entire country and the whole world. I believe it was ranked the #1 biking city in the country a couple of years ago. There's so many amazing trails in Chicago. Of course, the most famous is the Lakefront Trail, spanning the entire lakefront in Chicago. Such a great trail. You've also got the 606, which is on an elevated, abandoned rail line. Really nice trail there. Not super long, but really, really good aesthetic. In terms of outside of the city, the river trails are great. Des Plaines River Trail goes all up and down the Des Plaines River. You also got the North Branch River Trail heading up to like Wilmette and Evanston. Really nice trails overall, all around the city and its suburbs. This question comes from Volcanic, who asks, what countries have you visited and what countries are you planning to visit? So I've visited countries in Europe and North America. The countries are the US, Canada, Ireland, UK, Iceland, France, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, Vatican City, and Liechtenstein. In terms of countries that I'm planning to go to, I would absolutely love to go to more countries in Europe. I'd love to go to every single one at some point. That's going to be quite the endeavor, but I'm definitely going to try and make that happen at some point. High up on my list is Scandinavia, so sort of like Norway, Denmark, Sweden. Love to go to those countries. Greece as well. Really want to go to Greece. Love Greek food. Would absolutely die to go there. I'd also, of course, like to go to somewhere in Africa, maybe Morocco or South Africa, or somewhere like that. Kenya, perhaps. Really just want to travel the entire world, honestly, but I'm going to start with Europe. Next one comes from Rockin, who says, are you studying geography in college? I kind of am studying geography. So the major I'm doing right now is called Urban Studies. It's sort of lumped in with the Environmental Studies program as well. So it's kind of geography based. There's a lot of urban geography that goes into it. Not so much worldwide stuff. That's more addressed in the environmental side of things. But I'm more on the urban planning side of stuff, sociology, stuff like that. This one comes from Richie, who asks, when and why did you get into geography? That is a really, really good question. I have been into geography for literally as long as I can remember. Back in preschool, I had a couple of atlases that my parents got for me. They were the National Geographic ones for kids. Absolutely loved those books. I loved looking at all the pictures of different places, reading about the different cultures and cities. It was absolutely fascinating to me to know that there's this entire world of different countries and mountains and rivers and oceans to explore. It was absolutely fascinating to me. By the time I was in kindergarten, I had memorized all the state capitals, and I think most of the world capitals too. Ever since then, it's just been an absolute love for geography my entire life. Next one is from Anonymous Nyan Cat, who asks, what is your favorite state or country? So my favorite state in the US is, perhaps surprisingly, Wisconsin. I absolutely love it up there. Really, really good food, beautiful landscapes as well, especially up north and along Lake Michigan. Absolutely gorgeous during the fall and the summer. But yeah, all around, just great food, great cities, great landscapes. Such a nice state. And the fact that it's just north of me in Illinois as well is super nice. Love heading up to Wisconsin. In terms of a favorite country, the favorite country I've visited is absolutely Iceland. Such an incredible place. Just truly one of the most beautiful, surreal places I've ever seen. If you guys ever get the chance to go to Iceland, I highly suggest you go. It is insanely beautiful. I cannot recommend it enough. Andrew asks, what part of Chicago are you from? So I'm from the north side. I don't want to get too more specific than that, but I am about a mile or so west-ish of Wrigley Field. That's as much as I'm going to say, but I'm from the north side. This one comes from Clash, who asks, favorite movie? Great question, I was hoping someone would ask. I absolutely love the movie Interstellar. Insane movie. When I saw it in the theaters back in 2014, it absolutely blew my mind. One of the greatest movie-going experiences of my life. Probably will never get topped, but it was such an insane movie. Watched it so many times. The music is killer. Hans Zimmer's soundtrack in that movie is unbelievable. It is seriously the best thing I've ever heard. It's so good. If you've never seen Interstellar, what are you doing? You've got to watch it. It's so good. In terms of other movies, though, definitely like The Martian as well. I've got a thing for these more recent space movies. I like a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff as well, but those things come to mind first, for sure. Here we have some more questions from my mod Rumi, who asks, where do you see the future of this channel? That is a really, really good question. I have big plans for this channel. Right now what I'm doing is trying to go for Twitch partnership. That is my first priority as of right now. If I can get to Twitch partnership, that would be a dream come true. So I'm really trying to work hard to get to that. Beyond that though, I want to keep on making informational style videos about geography and urban planning and history, things like that, in addition to GeoGuessr. Want to be consistently making those videos as well. But yeah, just for right now, focusing on Twitch partnership and pumping out YouTube videos too. Next question, features or improvements for GeoGuessr on your wish list? Oh man, I have a lot of those. Honestly, I've been getting into map making a lot recently, and the map maker for GeoGuessr is really not great. It has not been updated in a long time, so a revamping of the map maker would be fantastic. A better search feature, just more functionality, an autosave feature would be great as well. There's so much they could do with Mapmaker. Really hope they're working on that though, we will see. Next question, are there any particular players or streamers to look out for? Another great one. There have been so many new streamers come onto the scene, even in the last few months. It's honestly been kind of hard to keep track of the expanding community. It's insane to see. Really awesome that the community is growing so much. In terms of players, I really am keeping an eye on a lot of the US speedrunners, especially those in the US Discord server. They've been getting some great times. I'm super excited to see the future of USA perfect scores, 50 state speedruns, all of that. In terms of streamers, a lot of the people in GeoPre are really awesome. Really looking forward to seeing how they continue to make content, especially down in the La Reunion division. There's so many awesome smaller streamers there that I'm really looking forward to see how they keep on producing content. Last question. Your favorite Detroit-style pizza shop in the Wrigleyville... Oh, come on, Rumi. No. No. This is a running joke between us. Rumi went to a Detroit-style pizza place in Wrigleyville, and he keeps telling me about it. And I keep making fun of him for getting Detroit-style pizza in Chicago. Oh, man. Oh, man. Next one comes from the Bub ATC asking, what do you plan to do this summer? Great question. This summer, I'm basically treating my YouTube and Twitch endeavors as a full-time job. Gonna be streaming 3 times per week, which I just started the new schedule for last week. I'm gonna try to make 2 videos a week for YouTube and just keep on working on all the Discord servers, Twitch streams, videos, all of that. Treating it like it's my job, and that's my main focus this summer. Also gonna be traveling around quite a bit. Gonna be heading to Portland in Oregon. Gonna be heading to Rhode Island as well, and so yeah, just gonna be traveling around and working on the channels. Next up, of course, I'm gonna answer all of the GeoGuessr and YouTube and Twitch related questions, so let's get into those. This question comes from Name on Twitter, who asks, which US state do you find the hardest to pin down for no moving state streaks and the easiest? So that's a tricky question. I'm gonna have to say, in terms of easiest, states like Hawaii and Alaska are very distinct, not only because they have the most Generation 2 coverage of the entire country, but also just because they look pretty distinct. Hawaii is such a tropical, mountainous place, and Alaska is such a cold, mountainous place, so they both look very distinct, and I can usually recognize them right away. In terms of the hardest state, though, that is a really tricky question. I'd probably say one of the southeast states, anywhere from Louisiana to North Carolina. If you're in the middle of nowhere in one of those states, it can basically look like anywhere in the southeast. It looks so similar across that whole region, so I'm gonna have to say any of the southeast states. If you're in the middle of nowhere, that's the toughest. This one is from Schmeeps, who says, what was the turning point in your GeoGuessr career that made you realize, hey, I'm pretty good at this? I wouldn't say there's really any specific turning point for me when I realized that. I would say when I was first really getting into the game during 2018, playing with some friends during senior year at high school, I would usually get much better scores than them, and I was pretty proud of that. They would always be like, how the heck are you so good at this? And that made me think, you know, maybe I am pretty good at GeoGuessr, and then that's what led me to start my channel in early 2019. So yeah, I guess maybe around senior year is when I thought, you know what, I might be decent at GeoGuessr, let's try making a channel. And as you guys know, the rest is history. This one comes from Sauce, who says, what was your method to learn so many street names and locations and be able to pinpoint them on a map so quickly for a massive city like Chicago? So this question is, I'm assuming, related to my Chicago perfect score attempts. I believe my record is about a minute 40-ish or something like that. So really the way that I learned all these names and locations is just traveling around the city. I've lived in Chicago my entire life, that is nearly 21 years at this point, and just traveling around the city, seeing all the street names, you get a feel for them pretty fast. And it's also also useful for myself, being from the north side, that a lot of the north-south streets up here also have the same names on the south side. So when you head down to the south side, all of the east-west streets there are numbers, but the north-south streets usually have the same names, so that's also very useful. I'm fortunate in that way to have that advantage. If I was from the south side, I wouldn't know all those east-west streets up on the north side. It would be a lot harder for me, but there's a lot of different tricks, and just living in the city, you get a feel for the names. Next one from RPH says, when did you start and about how much time have you spent on playing Geoguessr? So I started playing Geoguessr in 2017. I'm not sure exactly when I started, but the account that I use right now I made in July 2017, I think, so about 4 years ago. I definitely played the game before that year, but that was when I made this specific account. And in terms of how much time I've spent playing, oh my god, I don't even want to think about how many thousands and thousands of hours I've put into Geoguessr. It's pretty embarrassing, not gonna lie. These days, I usually get most of my practice in when I stream. I usually stream upwards of 8 to 10 hours a week these days, so yeah, that's a lot of hours a week. It all adds up after 4 years, oh man. This one comes from BigDog360 saying, I have only begun to watch your videos about 2 days ago, and one thing that amazes me most is how you can so quickly identify license plates while they're blurred and so fast. So how did you learn to do this? This is another really good question. I'd say the way I picked up this skill the most is through doing the 50-state speedrun. That run usually requires a lot of license plate knowledge. That's usually the best way to identify states when you're doing that speedrun, because there's almost always license plates around in every single location. So just practicing that run for well over a year at this point has really gotten me to get a good feel for what all the blurred out license plates look like. Obviously, I'm still nowhere near perfect in identifying them. They're very, very tricky sometimes, but yeah, that's usually how I get my practice in. Next one from Rubinia asks, would you ever consider doing a series like Geowizard where he gets driven to a random location IRL and has to try and work out where he is? I absolutely have thought of doing this. I actually had the idea to do it well before Geowizard actually made his video. I just never had the time to actually sort out the logistics for it. But I've been planning to do this for real, legitimately, very soon. I've been talking with some people to make some IRL content happen, so hopefully that'll happen one of these days. We'll see, but that is definitely in the works for sure. Next one is from GeoGuru, who has 2 questions for me. Will you make a co-op vid with me? So this question I'm not going to answer directly. I have been working on a series of Twitch streams coming up. I'm going to share more details about that later on, probably on Twitch very soon. But stay tuned for info about that kind of thing. And the second part of the question, if you could magically have full official coverage of any country on Earth that doesn't have it yet, what country would it be? Oh my god, that is a loaded question. I really just want coverage in every country on Earth. Obviously, that's never going to happen, knowing Google and knowing privacy laws, but it would be awesome. In terms of one specific one, I really think China would be fantastic. I really just want to explore China. It's a massive place, and we just have barely any coverage there. So getting full China coverage would be a dream come true. This one comes from JD, who asks, what do you think is the hardest US city to be stuck in? Finding a street in Houston, LA, Chicago, etc. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to say definitely a city in the Sun Belt somewhere. Definitely if you're out in the suburbs of one of those cities like Houston, somewhere Florida, California, Phoenix kind of areas, those streets are just never-ending messes of grid and subdivisions. Getting stuck in a suburb out somewhere down there is one of the hardest places to get in GeoGuessr. It's a blessing in disguise because you think you're in an urban place, but then you're in just this hell of suburb, and it takes forever to make it to anything meaningful. So I'd definitely say somewhere in the Sun Belt. Houston, Phoenix, LA somewhere, definitely hard. Next one comes from Mike, who asks, what do you think the turning point was for your channel when you really started to pick up steam and gain all these followers and subs? So the turning point for this channel really happened earlier this year during, I think, February. That was when my highest point in every state video really just blew up. That has well over 1 million views now, which is absolutely insane. I still haven't really wrapped my head around that. But yeah, back in February when that video was blowing up, that's when I gained a lot of the subs that I have now. And I'm so thankful that that video did well. Really glad you guys enjoyed it, and thank you to everybody who stuck around from watching that and is maybe watching this video now. David Griffith asks me, what country or place has GeoGuessr made you want to visit the most? That's another really good question. I'm gonna have to say somewhere in Africa. I really want to visit Africa. I have for a while now, but just sort of exploring the very limited coverage that African countries have really makes me want to go. I want to go to South Africa, I want to go to Ghana, I want to go to all the African countries. It seems like a really, really beautiful place, and GeoGuessr has definitely played a big role in that. Another one that comes to mind is, of course, the Czech Republic. That was a country spotlight video that blew up in the last few months, and so many people from the Czech Republic commented, showed great support. Big shout out to anybody who's still watching from when those videos blew up. You guys definitely encouraged me. I really want to go to the Czech Republic now. Seems like it has really kind people, good food, nice landscape, so I definitely want to check it out sometime. Oh god. Vincent asks, are you going to do more videos on Chicago's geography? Absolutely. I've got several videos in the works for the coming weeks. First thing that comes to mind is the history of Lakeshore Drive. Definitely want to make a video about that. I'm also going to do one about the CTA, sort of explaining all of the different lines, things like that. But I've definitely got lots of Chicago-specific videos in the works. Those are coming very soon. Next one comes from Rumi, one of my Twitch mods and Discord mods, who asks, why do Europeans hate US maps and locations so much? Oh no, I'm not gonna say you're wrong. It's true, a lot of people don't really enjoy the US locations or maps, probably just because of its absolute massive size. I mean, the US is about the same size as Europe, so that's probably one reason. That's as far as I'm gonna go with answering that question. But definitely the size of the country has a lot to do with it for sure. WH asks, any tips and tricks to be better at GeoGuessr? So the main thing I recommend for GeoGuessr is really to just play it a lot. Practice diverse world, practice different country maps as much as you can, especially try and get in a lot of like no moving games to just recognize landscapes better. That's the way I've gotten better at it for sure. I'd also suggest hanging out on people's streams as well, playing Geoguessr with them. It's really beneficial to see other people's thought processes and things like that, so definitely hang out on people's streams, practice your diverse world country streaks, and you'll get better in no time. And of course, you can also check out geotips.net. This is a fantastic website, a collection of resources about tips and tricks for all of the different countries around the world. Highly suggest you guys check it out if you haven't seen it already. That's also where we keep the world record sheet, which I'm an editor for, so make sure you check out Geotips. Big shout out to them. Next up, we've got the miscellaneous questions. Let's jump into these. Next question comes from the legend himself, Simi, who asks, if you had a truck, what would you put in it? Simi, what is this question, man? I don't know what this means. If you had a truck, what would you put in it? That is a really good question. You know what? I actually have no idea. What would I put in a truck? That is a great question. Hats off to you for that question. You stumped me, man. What a question. Joe asks, what's the elevation of your house? I don't know, honestly. I think the elevation of Chicago is like 600 something feet, so probably somewhere around there. This question comes from Justine, who is one of my mods on Twitch and Discord, asking, if you were a Pokemon, which type would you be? And I'm gonna say this just right off the bat, I'd be a ground and dragon type. If you know, you know. This one comes from Subscribe for E, who asks, if you could be any food, what food would you be? Interesting question. I don't know. I mean, I guess since I'm the Chicago Geographer, I'd probably be a Chicago food, so maybe Italian beef or a deep dish pizza or a tavern style pizza. Probably a Chicago food though. Next question comes from Yanks, who says, what's the most pointless state in the US? Those of you who are fans of my Twitch and Discord stuff, y'all already know the answer. It's gotta be Iowa. But for real though, I don't actually dislike Iowa. Iowa's a nice state. I'm actually going up there in a couple weeks to Dubuque, so that's gonna be really nice. But yeah, in terms of a pointless state, I honestly don't really think there is one. Every state has its own purpose, they all contribute something to the union. So yeah, in terms of pointless, don't think I could really choose one, honestly. Next question comes from Discord, from Work, who asks, what are your thoughts on dark chocolate? Is it better than the other chocolates? How does it compare to other sweets? And will you ever sell Chicago Geographer branded dark chocolate? A lot of questions there, all somehow related to dark chocolate. I absolutely love dark chocolate, legitimately. It's very, very good. Compared to other chocolates, definitely one of the best ones out there. Certain milk chocolates are definitely very good as well, but if you get a really good dark, it's fantastic. Compared to other sweets as well, definitely better than most of them for sure. In terms of selling branded chocolate, that would be insanely cool. Not sure that I'd ever actually look into that, but hey, you never know down the line. If I could sell branded dark chocolate, I'd definitely do it, so we'll see. Next, we got some more questions from my Twitch mod Spark on Twitter, who asks, first, what is so bad about putting ketchup on a hot dog? So, aside from it being a huge Chicago thing to not put ketchup on a hot dog, I believe it has something to do with the flavor of ketchup in combination with everything else you put on a Chicago-style dog. I think it just doesn't really work with the rest of the flavors. That's what I've heard, though. But just don't do it. It's not right. Next question, did you meet Diane Wynn when she lived in Chicago? I did not, but I've heard good things about BoJack Horseman, never watched it. I should probably check it out. Didn't realize there was such a big Chicago theme in one of the seasons, but I'll have to check it out for sure. Next one, which Pokemon is the cutest and why is it Shiny Galarian Ponyta? That's a pretty cute Pokemon, not my favorite cute Pokemon. I'd have to say Natu is probably my favorite, love it. It's the little round bird, adorable. And last question, which Pokemon is the most edible and why is it Slurpuff? That one I will agree with you on. Slurpuff is so edible. Also, I think the ice cream cone line, Vanillish or whatever from Unova, that's pretty edible too. Next question comes from the amazing Geography Challenges, who asks, why are you such a legend? GC, I should be asking you the same thing. You are a legend through and through as well. I appreciate you asking me that. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Next one comes from the amazing Simmeraj, or Fliss, who asks, how did you get such a lovely voice? Thank you, Simmeraj. I'm glad you think so. Honestly, I don't really know. I used to have a horrible voice. Those of you who followed my earlier content creation endeavors a few years ago will probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I've sort of, practiced refining my speaking voice. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you, Simmeraj, and you are a legend as well. Next question from GeoHippo asking, what is your favorite type of cheese? Actually, a really interesting question. Being just across the border from Wisconsin, I love cheese. There's so many good ones. Brie comes to mind. I absolutely love Brie. Any kind of blue cheese or like Roquefort kind of stuff. Really, really good. I also like goat cheese in the right context. But yeah, really love cheese. There's so much good cheese. Alright guys, well that is going to do it for all of the questions that I got. Thank you guys for submitting these. I really hope you enjoyed this Q&A. Hope I answered these to your satisfaction. We got some pretty interesting questions in there. I had a lot of fun recording this, so hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon for the next video. Till then guys, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.